Hello to all you hip skips out there, and welcome to The Jungle. Join Disney historian David Dr. Skipper Marley and art director and crooner Trevor Kelly as these former jungle skips explore the world of Disney, pop culture, and theme parks. But hold on tight, because just like a jungle cruise, their conversations often head deep into uncharted waters. Now, grab a seat and enjoy Expedition 51, Neverland Thirst Traps, Mogwais in Hill Valley, and Nicolas Cage's Jungle Adventure. Move it up, Skips.
Hey, handsome, how's it going?
Oh, hello. I like when you started because you called me handsome. That's pretty good.
But it's good to see you. You're back from Japan?
I am back from Japan. I am largely free of the jet lag.
Nice.
And I asked ChatGPT to help me fight the jet lag, and it told me to throw rocks at myself. I don't know. No, it gave me a game plan.
What was the game plan?
It was go to sleep basically as soon as you can on the plane.
Yeah.
And sleep for about 5 hours. And that'll get you in the ballpark, and then you just stay up.
Yeah.
And so I accomplished a decent amount of that, and it didn't help that. So I purposely flew Delta because they didn't use Boeing.
Oh, okay.
They used an Airbus to shuttle us over.
And you wanted to live on your trip to Japan. That's good. That's good. I'm sure Jess appreciated you wanted to live.
Everybody calls me high maintenance because I like all my doors to stay on my plane when I fly, but I don't care.
You're so particular.
No. Boeing should just start making Disney rides, because all Disney rides, something goes horribly wrong and there's an adventure. That's every one of their planes.
Exactly.
I'm being told we're being sued by Boeing now.
Where's the lie, though? Where's the lie?
That's right.
Where's the slander?
We took Airbus purposely. This one needed a software update, so it delayed our flight by about 3 hours.
Are you serious?
They needed to upgrade from Windows 95, and it took the better part of several hours.
Well, Windows 98 was pretty kick-ass.
It was pretty good.
It makes sense.
Clippy actually lands the plane now.
You're having trouble landing the plane.
I see you're upside down. But it was a delightful afternoon spent at Ludacris's Chicken and Waffles in LAX.
Really?
A real treat. It sounds sarcastic. It is not.
Okay.
If you ever find yourself in LAX and need some waffles with chicken and some solid beer, Ludacris has got you covered.
Ludacris, that's awesome.
Yeah. I will say a stunning lack of Fast and Furious references in this restaurant, which kind of annoyed me.
I'm sorry. I didn't even know he was in that franchise.
It's all about family, Dave.
Okay.
And he has no mention of his family.
I still haven't seen a single one of those movies. I know you haven't seen Hamilton or West Side Story. I haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious movies. We've got some shows to watch.
Does Hamilton leap off a car at any point or punch a submarine?
Neither of those things have been invented.
Not interested.
We should tell the audience, all of our fine, awesome listeners, that we got to Trevor's house and he said, "Hey, let's go to Strongwater and have a drink." And
the plan was to record there, but
yes,
it didn't happen.
The patio was closed. So he said, "Let's have a drink." I'm like, "Cool, one drink, I'll be fine." Not only did we have two, so I'm a little bit, tipsy. Then they gave us a shot of something that I drank. What was it? A daiquiri?
A snackery?
Well, they give you a treat if you're you or John.
I felt much cooler than I actually am because Ying and Robert are so kind to play my Christmas album every year at Strongwater.
Which was cool to be hanging out with you drinking, and then I heard your voice over the PA singing Christmas songs. That was awesome.
It's the only 2 minutes I get to feel like Frank Sinatra a year is when I'm at a bar and I hear my music come on. That's pretty cool.
And you did ask me to drag a guy into the alleyway and beat the crap out of him for you.
Which you happily did.
And I did it.
The
Raider fan in me is like, good. Somebody gets to feel my rage.
That's right.
My impotent rage will be spewed out upon you.
That's right.
So just so you know, when you're listening to this, neither one of us are feeling any pain.
No.
Not a bit.
Japan, if I may circle back to that, incredible.
Yeah.
We did Tokyo DisneySea.
Nice.
Which I had the best experience at Tokyo DisneySea and the worst experience in the same day. Fantasy Springs.
Yes.
I don't understand how they crafted such a beautiful experience.
Is that like their downtown Disney or something different? No, I'm serious. What is it?
Fantasy Springs is their newest port because they have ports at Tokyo DisneySea.
Okay, I gotcha.
And it is made up of Neverland, Rapunzel, Frozen, and I'm probably missing something. Fun fact, at the start of the day, if you're visiting Tokyo DisneySea, the second you get into that park, sign up for the anniversary pass, and that gets you access to stuff. Basically, everybody enters DisneySea, does a cold stop, and gets on their phone and tries to get access to Fantasy Springs. That's what we did and everybody else did.
I had lunch last week with Baby Doe and Otto, the great people that run the Tiki Oasis franchise.
Yes.
And they were there as well. And they said they finally got the reservation to go into the land that doesn't even get you on any of the attractions. Just gets you. He goes, they just wanted to walk around.
I would pay full price just to walk around this land.
It was that amazing.
Your brain can't comprehend what they've done.
Wow.
Neverland, you see the mountain range. It looks just like it does in the animated movie.
Wow.
Down to the fluffy clouds around the volcano. You don't understand how they did it.
Yeah.
Going into the park that day, we got access and we had to pick a ride. And so most of them weren't available, but we had, I think, Rapunzel and we had Peter Pan.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that'd be cool. Peter Pan.
Yeah. Never
Never in a million years did I think the Peter Pan ride is going to be what tries to make me vomit at DisneySea.
What? Why?
It is an aggressive journey.
It's not the same as California?
Oh, no.
Or Florida?
It's got this fantastic motion pirate ship that you sit on. It's like Spider-Man, but better.
Okay.
Where they have screens and like physical things that you go through.
Yeah.
They've gotten so good at the screens that there are parts where you can't tell where the screen ends and the physical set begins.
Nice.
And Jess even said, the way they updated Peter Pan, a little bit of a thirst trap.
For Peter Pan?
Yeah, he's got a little upgrade.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to know more. Yet I desperately want to know.
Peter Pan's 18, right?
It's one of those, sure. 18 in one day. It's one of those things where he's young, but he's also like an elf because he's got the pointy ears.
Yeah.
And he's like centuries old maybe, but he's still a child. It's one of those, it's you know what? It's a gray area. I would say just don't even touch him. I'd say move on. There's plenty of other options. Just move on. Just move on. Just move on.
Okay. But that ride shakes you like a margarita at happy hour. It's
Really?
crazy. And so by the end of it, I couldn't even look. By all means, go on it if you're at DisneySea and can get on it. It's beautiful. Everything's just beautifully done. Fantasy Springs, there's so much mist in the air from just the water and the waterfalls in there. And they blast such high-powered lights that it looks like, as Jess said, Aurora Borealis over the whole land.
Seriously?
It's just jaw-droppingly beautiful.
Wow.
So that itself is worth the trip to Tokyo DisneySea.
My question for you.
Yes.
Literally every person I've ever met said that Tokyo DisneySea is their favorite Disney park.
Yeah.
I've not met anyone who said anything different. Why is that park so much better than any park in America?
I mean, Disney's the OG, so it's an unfair comparison. And the fact that it even holds up to DisneySea is a testament to the genius of the people that created that park.
Yeah.
As it's 70 now almost.
Yep.
But I think just
It's
Disney's...
California. It's had a lot of work done.
That's right. It has.
It's had a lot of facelifts.
It's looking good.
It is.
No, I think DisneySea is just so well thought out. And in my humble opinion, not so dependent on cramming IP down your throat.
Okay.
They do it very smartly. It's just well integrated into the theme, as opposed to here where they're just like, well, we have this. Well, we can cram that into Tomorrowland, right? We can cram that here. It's fine. I think in a nutshell, that park shows what happens when you let really creative people do their thing unobstructed and fund them properly.
That's nice.
I think
funding
that's what
them
it is.
properly is the key.
Yeah.
Because we knew an Imagineer who was told they basically have no budget. They're told just to make it better than anything. And that would never happen in America.
And the worst thing that happened was my favorite place in the world. I've said it several times, I think, on this podcast.
The Bunny Ranch.
The Bunny Ranch, yeah. but outside of the U.S. Is the Teddy Roosevelt Lounge.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
Nightmarishly bad.
No.
I cannot say how dead that place is to me. We get there, wait a while, get inside. They say, you have an hour. We order our drinks. They're fine.
Yeah.
We're enjoying the atmosphere. Waiter switches, and he comes up with the bill.
Uh-huh.
And we're like, well, we have an hour. Can we order one more round? And I think what had happened is that he messed up, and he just doubled down on getting us out rather than owning up to his mistake.
Really?
So I literally translated, we just got sat. We just ordered our drink. We have enough time.
Yeah.
Bring your manager over here so we can explain the situation.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he leaves. And then he just walks back 2 minutes later and tells us we have to leave.
Yeah.
It was nightmarishly bad. And after reading some of the Google reviews of recent visits,
Yeah.
that's what it's like there.
Really?
So
oh, how sad.
it's incredibly depressing because it used to be one of the better bars, period.
Yeah, it was your favorite place there.
So pro tip, if you're going to DisneySea, do not set foot in the Teddy Roosevelt Lounge.
Now I kind of want to go just to cause trouble.
I mean,
Sounds worse than Oga's Cantina
oh,
in
easily.
Star Wars land.
Because at least Oga's Cantina is upfront about how they're going to use you and abuse you.
Yes.
And throw you out the door. But Teddy Roosevelt, it's a subtle con.
Last time I was at Oga's Cantina, the guy goes, okay, give me both your drink orders. I'm like, well, I don't know what I want. Well, I'm not coming back, so give me both your drink orders. And I was thinking, why the hell am I here?
Yeah.
So I ordered one drink, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And then I've never been back. You know, I think it's interesting that we had so much talking here in this episode about Japan right after December 7th. So I just think, how unpatriotic is this episode? Man, it's like Emperor Hirohito won. Come on.
Or look how far we've come.
Let's do that. Things how we both drive Japanese cars as well.
That's right.
So I knew some Pearl Harbor vets who he was in his cabin when he heard bombs explode, and he thought, well, that's not normal, and he walked out on deck.
I mean, that's a fair thought to have when you hear bombs going off.
It's like that's not a normal sound, and so I went topside, and yep, it was interesting to hear that because there's only literally just a couple people left that were alive back then. Because they're all of them are in their hundreds by now.
Were they like 9 years old when they were like forging their signature to join the army?
Well, look at Jimmy Carter. He's 100.
That's true.
Some of these people live a long time.
Yeah.
You just got to stay away from the crack and the heroin, and there you go.
But what's the point of living?
I don't know. Because as you know, both of us are heavily on the heroin.
That's right. This episode sponsored by Black Tar Heroin.
And Waffle House.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Their new Black Tar Waffle Special.
Ooh. I don't want to do heroin, but I would try that.
Just a little drizzle.
Because it's Waffle House.
That's right.
I'm down.
You're already going to fight if you're there. You may as well introduce some Black Tar Heroin.
Might as well make it worse. That's why I only go to Waffle House during the daylight, because that's when it's safe. Yeah.
That's not the full experience, though, and we've said that many a time.
It's not, but I've got priors, so I got to be careful.
I can't go back.
Cannot. And I don't want to go to prison in Florida this summer. This April. I'm going there. I'm going there to have fun.
Speaking of Florida and avoiding prison, we have a new president coming in
eventually,
and we're not gonna get political.
Why the hell are we talking about this?
Don't clench your butt if you're listening.
It's already clenched.
But I did think this is an opportunity for Disney to update the Hall of Presidents. First, an Imagineer did confirm that they had sculpted Hillary Clinton back in the day.
Seriously?
Yeah, they confirmed it. They had gone full steam ahead on Hillary Clinton and had to pivot at the last minute to make it Trump, which is why it looks like Hillary Clinton and Trump had a quado and they put it on like a statue.
Quado, that's the best thing.
So if Disney is listening, which I'm assuming they are.
Iger told me he listens to every episode.
Bobby Iges.
Yep. That's his name, Bobby Iges.
Bobby Iges.
That's what he goes by, Bobby Iges.
I got a pitch for you. Hall of Presidents should now be 2.5 hours.
Why?
Because that'll fit one of his speeches.
No.
And then the last 45 minutes is the Trump dance party. You get all the toddlers up there. You drop some balloons. And you just have his animatronic do that weird dance.
Let me just say, as someone with a PhD in history, that's one of the worst things I've ever heard in my entire life. So, Trevor.
Yes.
Like a lot of Americans, I have Spotify. And
it's an American-only app.
it is only in America because I enjoy paying my artists pennies on the dollar for their hard work.
I'll tell you what, and it's no joke. My Christmas album has been out for 3 years.
Yep.
Guess how much I've made off my Christmas album, which I'm not going to say it's like Mariah Carey numbers by any means, but it's not that nobody listens to it. And by the way, those of you that listened, thank you very much. Guess how much I've made off it in 3 years?
$25.
$75.
No way, that's awesome.
So
hey, that's a lot more than I thought. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I thought it was much worse.
I make $25 a year off of it.
I thought Spotify was a lot worse.
And thanks to the chat pack, between their generosity and me filling in whatever was left, the album cost about $3,000.
Wow.
So in several decades, I'll be in the green.
Right?
Yeah.
I still want your other album, Songs for a Certain Evening.
Hopefully within the next year, that's the goal, is
down.
to do that album of saloon songs. Song for certain nights.
I will be giving you money to help fund that.
Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I should do another GoFundMe. I never think that people would be interested in
100%
paying
should.
to hear a new good Sinatra E album.
And use this podcast to promote it.
There you go.
People will do it.
All right. Well, maybe I'll do that.
I would give money, and I don't give money to nobody.
So Spotify does the Wrapped thing at the end of each year, right?
And and if you'd given me a sheet of paper and said, list the 50 top songs you think it is, I would not have been correct. For the song and for the artist, I was wrong on both of them.
For the top one?
Top one, I was blown away.
Really?
I did not see it coming. And just so you know, just for context, last year, my favorite band and favorite song was both from the same band. It was the Bomb Pops. They are a punk band from San Pedro. The year before that, it was a song from Big Sandy and his Fly Right Boys, Rockabilly, singing in Spanish.
Always good.
With Los Straight Jackets. The year before that was a song by the Texas Tornadoes, Hey Baby, ¿Qué pasó? So 2 songs in Spanish 2 years in a row. Last year was a punk song. This year.
All 5 Kendrick Lamar, right?
How'd you know? No. I do have a funny rap thing for you. I'll tell you my rap story. So, song of the year was, here's your song of the year. When Will My Life Begin by Mandy Moore from the soundtrack to Tangled.
What happened?
Well, Tangled is one of my favorite Disney movies, and I played When Will My Life Begin 98 times.
What?
And it was my song of the year. I was convinced it was going to be a song called Moon by BTS.
Okay.
Which is one of my favorite songs ever.
Okay.
I listen to that song almost a couple times a day. So it's got to be Moon by BTS. Then I hear Mandy Moore. I'm like, well, who's my artist going to be? Which punk band will it be? The punk band it was this year is Mozart. That was who it was.
The OG punk.
The OG punk. And I'm like, well, I listen to Mozart when I'm grading and when I'm writing. I will blast Mozart.
Okay.
When I'm editing, I'll play punk music to edit. But for some reason, when I'm being creative and writing, I need to hear Mozart playing.
Okay.
Our good friend Christine from Club 616.
Oh, yes.
She sent me one of my favorite messages of all time. So thank you, Christine, for telling me this. I had my top 5 bands of the year.
Yes.
And her boyfriend's a musician. She is well into the social media world. She knows a lot about music.
Absolutely.
She went, this is the most random list of bands I've seen from anyone.
That's right.
I treasure that comment from her.
That's fantastic.
So I screenshotted it because Frank Sinatra, number 7.
Very nice.
Britney Spears, number 10.
Okay.
I'm all over the place.
You are. The FBI can never profile you.
They can't. I was writing a book, ghostwriting a book with a guy, or co-writing a book with a guy that has been a sheriff and a crime scene investigator since literally before I was born. Mm-hmm. And we worked together a lot over a period of a year. And he goes, I was a detective for 30 years. I can't figure you out. And
you know what he's telling you?
What?
You should be an assassin.
I should. Well, I told that to my therapist. She goes, will you have him call me? Because I can't figure you out either. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be like oblique and weird. I'm just doing my thing.
Mine's pretty
I'm
on point for where I'm at.
May I guess?
Yeah.
Twisted Sister.
Twisted Sister, number 5. No. No, actually, number 5 is the weirdest one. Jackie Gleason.
I saw that on your list. What the hell?
Jackie Gleason.
He sings?
No, Jackie Gleason had a stellar second career after the Honeymooners and all the comedy and stuff of conducting and doing arrangements of music all instrumental and all stunningly beautiful.
Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason.
To the moon, Alice.
Yeah.
Huh. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, mine was Jackie Gleason, the Beach Boys, old Frankie Sinatra, old Blue Eyes, the Chairman, the
Nice.
reason I have any sort of musical career whatsoever. Number 2. And number 1 was the Beatles. The Beatles.
Mine was number 1, Mozart. Number 2, the Bomb Pops. Number 3, the Beatles. Number 4, MXPX.
MXPX. What is that?
They're a punk band.
Oh.
They are a late 90s, early 2000s punk band. And then number 5, The Alarm, a 80s rock band that was always in U2's shadow, and I love them to death. Not a very good band, but I love them to death. MXPX was a band that was a Christian band, but not like on a Christian label, and they weren't Jesus-y.
Okay.
But like you kind of knew
They were Christian.
And I went with Mike Poocher, our good friend, Mike Poocher.
Yeah.
I went to an MXPX. I go to a lot of punk shows. I'm used to the mosh pit. And I went with him to this show in Ventura a couple of years ago. And it was the safest punk show I've ever been to. And he goes, isn't this great? I said, it's a good concert. I'm not afraid. And I'm not worried that anything's going to happen. Like, I may be the most dangerous person in this room right now. And that's never a good sign.
Fun fact. So, speaking of Christian bands, when I was young, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 came out, Secret of the Ooze.
Sure.
We found out, I know you had all those questions about the ooze.
Yes.
Revealed
The
all the
ooze.
secrets.
The ooze, yes.
By the end of it.
Yes.
Vanilla Ice made an appearance in that movie.
Go Ninja, go.
That's
go.
right.
I knew that song. I knew that song.
The Ninja Rap.
Yep. I was a
And-
bus driver. Kids were into the ninja. Yeah, they were.
He opened up a generation of white kids that had no business in rap to fake rap music.
Yep.
And so listening to that, like several million other white kids, I thought to myself, well, gee, I must love rap. And so for Christmas, I asked my parents, I would like some rap music, please. I enjoyed the Vanilla Ice in this movie. What other rap artists can you, my white, middle-aged Christian parents, procure for me?
I love where this is going, and I don't even know.
So I got a rap album on cassette that Christmas.
DC Talk.
No, DC Talk. That's a name check that I haven't heard in a minute.
Yeah.
This band was called the Raptures,
I never heard of them.
a Christian rap band. Rapsures also happens to name check the Rapture.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
I can't tell you what any other songs. Well, and maybe I could look them up.
okay.
The internet's a weird thing.
Yep. It never goes away. I'll tell you this about hip hop. I listen to every genre of music except hip hop. Although I did listen to Kendrick Lamar, the We're Not Like Us, his Drake stuff. I listened to that this summer. A friend of mine played it for me. But I don't listen to hip hop ever. So I have Spotify AI going on one day when I'm leaving campus. And it goes, coming up, I got your favorite rap hits based on your musical tastes. And I'm like, I listen to angry punk music. What is a hip hop song going to have to offer me? And the first song it played was F the Police. And I'm like, oh, hell yes.
There you go.
I'm blasting F the Police, leaving the college campus, and I'm wearing a suit, a middle-aged white man in a suit and tie, leaving his job at a university, playing F the Police in Orange County, California. It was one of the most horrific things to view ever, but I enjoyed it. And then I went back to listening to 50s country music.
But yeah, my Spotify was weird, but not as weird as yours.
Yeah.
You know, you just love Mandy Moore. I get it.
When will my life begin? If that's not the theme of 2024, I don't know what is.
That's right. Bleeding into 2025.
Exactly. All right. Since we last hung out, I had my book talk at Bookman in Orange County.
How was that?
It went fantastic. Bookman was already my favorite bookstore here in California, and we had such a great time. And
and also one of your favorite superheroes, as we all know, a Bookman bitten by a radioactive book
it was
many years ago.
he has the power of books.
That's right.
He can index anything. And what was interesting, because first I was convinced no one's going to show up, because
Yeah.
I'm always convinced. Every Tiki Oasis, my very first Tiki Oasis ever, they put me in this room. I opened the door to look outside. The lobby was empty. And I'm like, no one's coming to see me. Fine, that's okay. I'll just talk to like myself. And then I got a text from Kevin, our Imagineer buddy from last episode.
Right.
Texted me a photograph. He's like, hey, they moved the line outside because it's too long. And
You always have a line that snakes everywhere.
yes. And our friend Doreen at Arizona Tiki Oasis 2 years ago, I was like, well, nobody's coming to see my talk at Arizona Tiki Oasis. She sent me a video of the entire line. Her and Nikki filmed this little video that I still watch every once in a while.
It's because,
Yes.
and this is backed up by science.
Yes.
You bring the funny.
I do bring the thank you. Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. That's very kind. I do try very hard. But it was great. But what was neat about the event was very cool. Thanks to David from Bookman for hosting the whole thing. But there was a bunch of people there I did not recognize.
Okay.
All of them listened to the podcast.
Oh my God.
I'm like, well, how did you know about me? Because we're not following me on Facebook. On Instagram, like, oh yeah, the podcast. Like most of them knew me from the podcast.
Wow.
Funny thing, I'm in there looking at in one of the rows of books before it starts, and this guy with a John Cruise hat on looks at me and goes, hey, hi, good to see you. I'm like, hi. I don't really recognize him, but he clearly knows me from somewhere. And he goes, I worked at Jungle Cruise in 1996 with you. And he said this, and no offense to him, I didn't believe him for the longest time. He goes, I was there. I remember the day you walked onto the dock in 1996. And I'm like, you do? Then he knew the name and what my trainer looked like and the guy I was trained with.
Wow.
He's, but so-and-so, and the guy you were trained with was this Hispanic guy, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. You know that? He's like, oh, yeah. And this is what he said. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because I just thought it was so bizarre. He goes, yeah. You weren't even done training before we're like, that guy's going to be a legend.
Wow.
I don't know if that he really meant that, but I go, that guy. And I'm like, really? He's like, oh yeah, we all knew. We watched you. We're like, that guy's going to be great. He's going to be legendary. He goes, so it's cool to see what you've been doing. I'm like, thank you. And it was really weird. And I thought, is that really true? And then I'm like, well, why would he say that? Because my therapist makes me believe people when they say things. And then I realized I remember watching other trainers train people. I'm like, oh, you're one trainee? That guy's going to kill it. Or this one guy had a female skipper. I'm like, she's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So I did that exact same thing to people. And I'm like, oh, I've done that to a bunch of my other people watching them train people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're one trainee? Fire them or send them to Toontown. Other ones, I'm like, they're going to be amazing. And they're going to be a great addition to so I'm like, but he knew specifics about me from that era.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was amazing that he remembered it. Sorry.
That's quite the compliment.
I'm still floating on it, to be honest, with my shallow ego. I was very excited. So I was telling stories and I told them about how at Jungle Cruise, for some reason, I became the king of rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
That if you had like a rotation and one rotation got to go home early, one got to stay, I was the one, they would do rock, paper, scissors to determine it. They pulled me out of a boat more than once to do rock, paper, scissors. I don't lose. I am like devastatingly good. And so I just told the story, and then the guy's son goes, hey, rock, paper, scissors, let's go. I'm like, oh crap. What if it's
no.
And I beat him. And I'm like, all right, 2 out of 3. I'm like, boom, crushed him and moved on. I'm like, I don't know why.
So what you're saying, we got to go to Vegas.
If there's a rock, paper, scissors place, I'm coming home covered in gold.
It's at the Bunny Ranch.
Is it? I'm done.
Yeah.
Even there, I'm done. So it was a great night. Sold a lot of books. It was very cool to meet a lot of people, but it was a lot of fun. And I had a great time. And our buddy Mike is in a band called Bite Me Bambi. And they do a video. I think it's Hot Lava. They filmed it at Bookman.
Did they?
It's supposed to be a library. But when they walk in the doors of a public library, and then in the library, I go, oh, first time I watched the video, I'm like, oh, that's Bookman.
And if you like ska, Bite Me Bambi, up there with some of the greats. They are a fantastic local band.
They are.
Mike, owner of 616, and Talina is their fantastic lead singer.
Yeah, they're really good. I really enjoy them. So yeah, so that was a lot of fun. The one other thing I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
There's a new Disney cruise ship that has launched.
Yes.
I think it's called the Treasure, but they have a new skipper bar there.
Do they?
Called the Skipper Society.
Oh, no.
On the Disney Treasure. And I wrote down, this is my notes, a cool bar that we will never see.
That's right.
It's kind of like the Skipper Canteen. It's kind of like Trader Sam's, but it's on a cruise ship that we will never be able to afford to go on.
They're doing that lately. The Haunted Mansion has a bar on, it might even be that same one,
But theirs, they actually haunted with real ghosts. They brought people in, murdered them there so their ghosts would stay on the ship.
That's true.
That's Disney's level of dedication.
That's true. They went down, they found some artifacts on the Titanic that were haunted.
True. That's true.
Brought them up.
Brought them right there.
And now they get to relive their trauma on another. They actually have a Raleigh Crump bust in that Haunted Mansion bar,
Really?
which is kind of cool. And I think it's kind of melted, so it's kind of like Candleman Raleigh Crump,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. It's a deep cut.
That's very
And
cool.
they have the old Donald Duck chair that he drew.
Oh, nice,
For
yeah.
Museum of the Weird.
Yep.
In there, which is also pretty great.
Yeah.
We touched upon this last podcast.
Yes.
And you said we should talk about it, and I agree.
How dare you? First of all.
That's right.
Second of all, I don't remember. Thirdly, I've been drinking.
So if you listen to the episode with Kevin Lively,
Yep.
he talked about 3 different categories of people they designed for at Imagineering.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
And if you didn't, I'm going to tell you now. It is...
Dip and dive and dodge and duck.
That's right.
And dodge.
That's it.
Wait, that's Dodgeball. That's the movie Dodgeball. I'm sorry.
Dippers,
Swimmers.
and divers.
And divers. Yes, I'm like, and drowners? That was what I was thinking of.
Well, if you can't dive, you're going to drown.
You're going to drown.
So they designed for these 3 things. So if you're going on a ride and you're just there to enjoy the ride, you only visit the park once a year, you're a dipper.
Yeah.
You're just going to enjoy the ride, and that's that.
Yep.
If you're a swimmer, you might notice that certain things connect, or maybe this little thing from this one ride is also visible on this other ride. So you're like, oh, wow, you're connecting dots. You're a swimmer. And if you're a diver, you are the kind of person that's making a Wikipedia page that catalogs every reference to everything in this ride. Bop, bop, bop.
And you're making me look very cool to my students.
That's right.
So thank you.
I almost got into it, and I didn't want to because Lord knows I don't want to make any guest uncomfortable. I think, personally, they are steering the parks too far over towards a diver rather than everybody else nowadays. I think we have like a bunch of people that like just are so intense when designing these things about like Star Wars Land, for example. Star Wars Land only takes place between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and you can't see Han Solo because he's already dead.
Until they switch it, they're going to switch it.
They have to.
They will, because who wants to see, those losers? They want to see Luke and Leia and Han, and yeah.
But this kind of crap, like, I get that they view it, like the people that are designing these things view it as an elevation of the storytelling and themed experience.
Yes.
But at a certain point, I think that's hogwash. I think that when they made Pirates of the Caribbean, they weren't thinking of an intricate backstory. They were just like, all right, well, you just go down a waterfall and suddenly you're where the pirates are.
Yep.
And I think certain rides can just be that. And leave it up to your imagination to build your own adventure, rather than being told what adventure you're on.
Which I never thought about till you said it. Here's the thing. Trevor will say his thoughts on something, and my first thought is, no, he's totally wrong. 6 months later, well, Trevor had a point. A year later, oh my God, Trevor knew exactly what he was talking about. So I've learned to just cut the time out.
Okay.
So when you said it, you're like, you should just be able to go and enjoy and make your own story. I went, well, yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah.
I mean,
but
Rise of the Resistance, amazing ride.
So amazing.
We just went on it again this last trip last week. But that is a very linear story where you are being pointed at what to look at. And
really,
there's not going to be much. There's not much room for coming up with your own thing. You're basically just like, you're a prisoner and you're moving through this adventure, and that's it. It's the same ride every time.
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean, you are slowly moving through an environment, and you can look at whatever you want because it's all around you.
Yep.
Like, I think they've lost that kind of ride in the American Disney experience. It makes me kind of sad.
I remember working at Disney, and I was working on the new script and some other stuff, and I was so frustrated working with the management there and the people there. And I was walking down Main Street when the park was closed one night for some reason, and it was all quiet, and it dawned on me, oh, this park isn't about being creative. It's about doing whatever they thought Walt would do. and they don't want any new ideas. They're afraid of any new ideas. So anything new or outside of the box is immediately going to be shot down. Because like, we could do this and it would work better. It would be more. And they're like, nope, 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 nope. I'm like, they don't want anything new. They want to keep things the least amount of trouble for them, and they don't want any new creative ideas. And I thought, all right. And once I understood that about working at Disneyland, I calmed down. I'm like, all right, I'll stop trying to get them to do these new things because they're not interested in that.
The funny thing is that may be the case, but when you have a place like DisneySea that just does whatever is creatively fulfilling and amazing, that is what Walt would do.
Exactly.
Like, he would take this scary, weird path. The fact that you had a successful place and you're like, I need to spend an insane amount of money putting a mountain in the middle of this place now. Like, that's that kind of crazy thinking.
And that's not ever going to happen at Disneyland or Disney World.
Anymore.
But then if it happened at Disneyland, everybody would freak out and be upset.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel bad for all the Imagineers because they can't win.
No, it's a Kobayashi Maru over there.
Add something new. Here's something new. Why'd you take that old stuff away?
That's
right. There must be a room in Imagineering where they just cry. Where they just, can I have a moment? Okay, go ahead in the room.
Right, there you go.
You wanted to add something that people ask for, then they complain that you added it to the park. I mean, in Florida, that's not a big of a problem, but at Disneyland, it's almost like a holy relic.
Oh, yeah. There's only so much space. You have to destroy something to make something new.
And if you're going to destroy something, I got 2 words for you: Star Tours.
I'm all for it.
Move it to Star Wars Land where it belongs.
Jess, my lovely wife, listened to the podcasts, like a good chunk of them.
Nice.
And she said one of the most consistent things is that we come up with things that we never follow through on. Which, how dare she? But B, that you, every several episodes, will rail against Star Tours.
Yeah, I do.
And I completely agree with you.
And here's the thing, I actually enjoy Star Tours. It's a fun ride. It just doesn't belong in Tomorrowland. And then they changed it where some of it's the prequel, some of it's the sequel. So it's like, so I'm time traveling and traveling through space.
Yes.
Make up your mind. That's all.
That's all the things.
All I want is consistency. And I remember Jess said that. And Jess, by the way, 100% accurate on both points.
That's true.
I'd like that note in the record. But let me ask you, can I ask you my fun question?
Yes, please.
If you're ready.
Yes.
Are you ready? Okay, here it is. Are there celebrities that you like or dislike based on their behavior at Disneyland that you either saw in person or heard about?
Yeah, actually.
Like you have strong opinions only because of what they did at Disneyland. And if so, who?
Several names pop into my head immediately on both sides of the spectrum.
Okay.
One of them, Ellen DeGeneres, didn't like based on what I heard about her at the park, and was obviously confirmed with everything recently.
Every single thing we've ever heard about her. Yeah.
So that was great. Tom Hanks, you assume he's the nicest guy on the planet. He goes on the Jungle Cruise and is the nicest guy on the planet.
I've heard I liked him more after I heard stories about him. Yes.
He was so, I didn't have his boat, but I was there when he popped in.
Oh, really? That's cool.
I think Adam Tyler, a skipper, took out his boat with him, I think. But I've heard nothing but good things about him and how he treats cast members as he moves through the park.
Exactly.
So that was great. And then the third person that I like even more based on hearing stories about him moving through the park is Nicolas Cage.
Me too. He was on my list.
Really?
I thought, here's my surprise answer, Nicolas Cage.
Right.
You threw me. Yes. Yes.
Why you?
2 different things. One was it Leo, our buddy Leo, that gave him a private ride around Jungle, where he was describing to, like, Nicolas Cage got on the boat with like 2 of his friends because he wanted to do a Jungle Cruise movie. And so they drove slowly through the jungle while Nicolas Cage like described the movie, and like a helicopter's going to fly through here and like it could be like this. And I think it was Leo.
I've never heard this.
I'm pretty sure it was Leo. And they drove really slow late at night, and Nicolas Cage had a whole movie planned out for doing the Jungle Cruise. Yes. And then my favorite story about Nick Cage, there was a skipper named Lonnie, great young lady who worked at Thunder as well. So she was working Thunder, right at the where the people get in the very front row. So she goes, so this is what she told me like at lunch. She goes, so I'm talking to this young couple, and I noticed that the woman has a necklace with a big golden L. I'm like, oh, cool. What is the L for? And she goes, oh, for Lisa. She's like, oh, that's great. My name is Lonnie. What a cool name. We both start with L's. She goes, so we're just chatting, and they were both very nice, and I cracked jokes, and we're laughing, and I gave the all clear, and the ride goes away. And the lead walks up, oh my God, what were they like? And she's like, who? She's like, that was Nick Cage and Lisa Marie Presley. And she had no clue.
What?
Yes. And so when they came back, she's like, oh my God, that was Nick Cage. And she goes, I was just chatting and they were the nicest people. So yeah.
First off, what a weird path for Elvis's daughter to take. What a weird journey.
Better than being married to Michael Jackson. So
Yeah.
any other celebrity stories that you have? Like you're like,
I've just heard stories about Nicolas Cage moving through that park dressed in all leather and just being ripped off booze. And it just made me like him even more because let's be honest, that's how 90% of us move through that park now.
well, now, yeah.
So
Thank you.
he's ahead of the curve.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. I heard a great Tom Hanks stories.
Really?
About his behavior. Yep. This was 20 years ago, but he had like kids that were behaving badly and like being kind of brats. And he goes, if you don't knock it off, we're going to leave. And then the kid said something. He's like, we're leaving. And he told the plaid, we're going home. And the kids were like, no. He's like, no, you had your chance. And like left the park. Wow. And I'm like, I did that once with both of my girls. It's a baller move. You only got to pull that trigger once.
But he stuffed them in the limo and then he came back in.
He did. He and his wife Rita rode around.
He's like, I'm Woody. I'm sorry.
I don't know if this story is true or not at all. I have zero evidence for this story.
Okay.
But the actress Leslie Mann, who's married to David, he makes all the movies that everyone thinks are really funny, but I don't really care for.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
David.
He made like Freaks and Geeks and he
Yes.
made like all these other like This Is 40.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never liked his comedy a lot. I bought his book to read it to see why. And after I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I don't find you funny. Because he's like, everything has to be funny, but also tragically sad. So anyway, I heard a story from a cast member about his wife, Leslie Mann, that her kids were climbing over rocks at Indy. And like the cast member was trying to get them to stop. And she came over and started screaming, don't tell my kids what to do. And like, they can climb on there if they want to. And that like, she was a nightmare letting her kids, that they were just kind of a horror.
Oh.
And who knows if that's true or not. But every time I've seen her, I'm like, yeah, all right, you're giving my cast members crap. Indiana Jones, letting your kids crawl over and be crazy.
That was the hardest, speaking of rocks and in Adventureland and whatnot, that was one of the biggest tests of my cast member life.
What?
Was I was taking a deadhead.
Uh-huh.
I am driving through the jungle silently by myself.
Uh-huh.
Get to Indy. This is before they had put the bamboo up to block people from seeing us at Indy.
You're welcome, America.
That's right.
We were the generation that caused that to go up.
That's right.
Yep.
You can't see Indy well. It's because we mocked people ruthlessly.
Yep, exactly.
As we drove by it. But there was a group of young, attractive females and me as an 18-year-old male. They stopped and yelled at me, and I stopped, and we had a chat. And they wanted to come on my boat by hopping over the fence and leaping from the rock to the boat.
Please tell me you did that.
I didn't. It took every ounce of strength in my body to say, that's a bad idea.
Well, good for you, though.
But what I did was I told them, I'll be back in 5 minutes, run around to the queue and just wait.
Nice.
And so they got on my boat.
Very nice.
But they didn't do it dangerously.
I never had that. I only had one weird, like girl coming onto me experience at Jungle Cruise. And I realized she was coming onto me, no lie, 10 years later.
You're just sitting like an Applebee's, like, God damn it.
10 years later. This was 1996. It was before I went to grad school in Washington, D.C. And all I remember, she was this blonde girl. And she's like, oh, you going to the party tonight? And I'm like, nah, I don't really think so. Because they were all like early 20s. And I was like mid to late 20s. I was going to go. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. She's like, oh, really cool. Because we're going to be drinking a lot. It's so fun. I love getting drunk. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. And then she looks me right in the eyes and goes, I get so horny when I'm drunk.
Oh, no.
And my brain went, oh my God, why would she tell me that? Like, she's got to be careful. Somebody could take advantage of her.
That's right.
Like, that's literally where my brain went. was, oh, honey, you need to be careful with yourself. And then 10, 15 years later, I went, holy crap, she was coming on to me. I didn't even swing and miss. I didn't even know I was at bat. I was still in the dugout.
Didn't even know.
Didn't even know. Such a player.
That's a great phrase. I didn't even know I was up to bat.
Didn't even know. Didn't even know. I couldn't. You can't strike out if you don't know you're at the plate.
It's true. That's the lesson.
Yep.
If there's one lesson you take away from this episode.
Exactly.
We're knee deep in Christmas.
Yep.
And like a junkie chasing his fix. Mm-hmm. Every year Christmas gets harder and harder for me to kind of get into, but I love Christmas so much.
Yeah.
Do you find that's a thing? Disneyland very much helps because it's frozen in such a time period.
Yeah.
Especially at Christmas time. It's nice to see it.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Christmas fan. I like it because you like it. Like you've like rekindled it. I never had like a traumatic Christmas. I had like great Christmases as a kid.
Same.
Never a huge fan. Like this year's my first Christmas alone as a single guy. I have no tree, no lights, no nothing, and I'm loving it. I'm so happy. And when I was really super Jesus-y, I didn't do a lot of Christmas stuff because it was pagan.
Oh, really?
And I was like, well, Christmas trees are pagan, and this is pagan, and that's pagan, and none of it's,
Wow.
According to the New Testament, Jesus was born in the springtime or the summer. So it's all this Roman festival that was taken over by Christians. And so all of this is made up. And so I don't know why Christmas is fine. I don't want to hear about it before Thanksgiving. And on December 26th, I want it gone. Like 2 years ago, I saw somebody took their tree out the morning of the 26th. And I went, God bless you forever.
Don't come to our house until mid-February then.
Yeah.
Because this stays up for a minute.
Well, your Christmas tree's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
I'm happy not to have one, but if I did have one, I would take it out probably Christmas afternoon.
I love Christmas dearly. It's just as you get older, especially if you don't have kids or anything to kind of like leech off, like suck their Christmas energy from. It gets
Which was awesome when they were little.
Oh, I'll bet.
It was so cool.
It gets harder and harder. And I think one of the things that has helped in the past couple of years kind of rekindle and reclaim that feeling was like making new traditions and whatnot. And one of those things happened last night. Me and Jess watched a movie that neither of us had seen in decades.
Okay.
Gremlins.
Oh, I don't think I've seen it since the 80s. Tell me.
It is one of the most wild movies I've seen as an adult.
I enjoyed it when it came out. What was it? What is it on? What streaming service?
It is on Max.
Okay, cool.
Came out in 1984.
Yeah.
Took place in the same set as Hill Valley. 1 year before they filmed Back to the Future.
Really?
Back to the Future came out in 1985, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gremlins probably filmed right before, because Back to the Future filmed probably about half with Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
Was the original Marty McFly.
Yeah, they did.
And then they shit-canned him because he was not Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
And they reshot most of that movie. So I would assume it was probably a back-to-back production.
He was kind of too dramatic, they said. More of a dramatic actor.
If you see like clips of him, you're just like, you're not bad, but it's not the right vibe.
You're not the right vibe. He's still in one shot in the movie.
Is he?
It's the back of his head when someone's talking.
Oh.
And it's I think it's in the coffee shop, but it's one scene where it's the back of his head and you can't really tell.
Huh.
But because it was a good close-up of one of the other actors, so they just left it in.
Leave it. Yeah,
Yep.
Why not?
Yep. That's your Eric Stoltz information for this episode.
There you go.
Prepared for next episode.
Big Eric Stoltz episode.
Coming next year, all Eric Stoltz all the time.
A lot of crossover with Gremlins and Back to the Future with Steven Spielberg Presents and then the Marshalls producing and whatnot. So and another fun fact, the mom in Gremlins is also Leah Thompson's mom in Back to the Future.
Really? I will watch Gremlins before we hang out again.
So Gremlins, if you haven't watched it in a minute, or if you have watched it, please humor me in my exploration of how absolutely insane this movie is. It's cute. There's also several murders.
The Gremlins go dark.
it was funny because like I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, they're metamorphosizing, they're turning into those creepy gremlins, and then at no point was I prepared for the amount of murder in this movie. Lots of murder.
Don't they stick somebody in a blender or something? Another gremlin or something?
Well, the mom immediately goes all John Wick on the gremlins and kills most of them.
Really? I don't remember that at all.
If she had been a little bit better, movie would have been over in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Like she killed most of like a microwave, a blender. She's stabbing them.
Okay.
It's crazy.
A lot of murder for a Christmas film.
More than most. I would say slightly more murder than Frosty the Snowman.
Okay. It's a good reference point.
Only one murder
Yeah.
in Frosty the Snowman, and he comes back.
Yep.
But just an absolutely insane film. And we looked up Joe Dante directed it.
Uh-huh.
And he had a habit, apparently, of mixing Looney Tunes, the 60s idealism, and just really dark humor. And it shows in Gremlins.
Wow. That is Gremlins, yeah.
Because you're going immediately from like somebody getting just gruesomely murdered by a gremlin to them watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarves in a movie theater and enjoying themselves. I'm like, what is this movie? Pick a lane and just drive in it for 30 seconds.
I saw it in a theater.
Did you?
I remember that. I think I saw it once on VHS and that was it. I think Ronald Reagan was president last time I saw it.
Wow.
Well, Nancy. So I gotta watch it again.
I don't understand this movie.
There you go again.
The next 30 minutes of this podcast is going to be attempting Reagan. Bad Reagan impersonations.
I can do Bill Clinton. Hi, Bobby. How's it going? Come here, Bobby. Come here, Bobby. We've gone off the rails. All of this should be edited out. And now that I've said it,
none of this will air.
None of this. But now that I've said it, all of it's going to make it on the podcast.
The hard pivot. We went to Disneyland and DCA last week for Christmas. Delightful.
Last time I went was with you and Jess. That's the last time I've been.
Oh, really?
It's been a while.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting rid of our annual passes.
I can't. You always say that, and yet you still always have
We're
one.
not going to have it for a couple of years. It's just too expensive.
At this point, you guys are kind of like an alcoholic who I'm giving up drinking, and then next time you see them, they're like walking out of a liquor store with just bags of booze.
With annual passes, maybe. With alcohol, never.
Never. With alcohol, never.
I'll never say no.
Alcohol will never hurt you. Disneyland annual passes will.
It's true. What could go wrong with alcohol?
Right?
All right, so we're at California Adventure. We're waiting for my sister to meet up. And this is one of the weirdest things that's ever occurred to me at a Disney park.
Aliens landed from outer space.
I wish.
You met
my
Gene
goodness.
Simmons.
Gene Simmons.
I don't know.
Oh, gross.
The first thing I thought of.
So we're standing out in front of Carthay waiting for my sister to meet up with us.
Okay.
We're hugging and
Yeah.
just kind of waiting for her. All of a sudden, I feel a second set of arms come around us and hug us. And I look over. It's Goofy.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Thirsty.
Wow.
For a throuple.
He is, man. Goofy. He ain't messing around.
No.
Gosh. Let's do this.
The safe word is gorsh.
Now for the most dangerous part of our show, the return to civilization. If you've enjoyed the show and want to show some support while also getting some adventurously good extras, visit patreon.com/The Jungle Podcast. Also, if you could be so kind as to follow the lads on Instagram, I know they'd be thrilled. At Dr. Skipper Marley and at the.Trevor.Kelly. See you hip skips next time in The Jungle.